Welcome to We're All Just Faking It. This is episode 41. Today we are talking about what does happiness really mean and how do we find it? With us today we have Steph, Dana, Blaze, and myself, Braylon. So let's get started. I can't believe we're in the 41st episode. That's crazy.
That is crazy.
Did anyone fake it last week? And if so, how?
All week, every day, every hour. I have no idea what I'm doing. I have no idea what I'm doing. I don't.
Impressive.
I have no clue.
I mean, you're doing it. You're doing it.
I am doing it. It's half the battle is knowing what questions to even ask, but I'm learning, which is exciting, but also very frustrating. I don't like feeling like I'm dumb or like I don't know things, and that is every day.
It's a good push to learn stuff though, I found.
Yeah, there's no choice in the matter. It's I'm just trying to keep focus on a couple of small goals. So like, I don't know, I read a lot of LinkedIn posts about like, oh, I wish I did this when I started my agency 5 years ago. And I'm like,
super
oh,
smart.
I'm doing those things. Cool.
Yeah.
But it's also having time and like learning how to balance it and carving out and just the balance. The balance is really hard. I think I said it before. This is really hard working for myself for all the reasons I didn't anticipate. How about you?
If you had to make a pros and cons list of working for yourself and not, do you think that it would be like the same or like really one-sided or like almost identical?
Oh, okay. So I was actually having a conversation with someone about this the other week. This is no different. I traded 2 rather incompetent bosses for like 5 bosses, and they all want different things. I just got like 5 part-time jobs at this point. I do client work basically, right? So it's the exact same thing that I was doing before. I am making more money, but I lost all of like the benefits of like a 9 to 5. I don't get PTO. I don't have like someone to delegate to. I can't be like, oh, I'm sick today. I'm just not going to get anything done. Like it still has to get done. And I still have to like communicate all of that stuff. But there is absolutely no fucking way I could ever go back to a 9 to 5 at this point. Like every fiber of my being is fighting having to work for someone else. And I technically do work for other people right now, just like 5 of them. But at the end of the day, I can be like, no, I'm good. Yeah,
Exactly.
no, I'm not flying to Florida.
Yeah.
That's not gonna work for me. I don't know. I have a little bit more lift on my side, I guess. A little bit more in my court. No, I love it and I hate it. And every day is a new emotion. But we're doing it.
Did anyone else want to share if or how they faked it?
I feel like the only way that I faked it is because I had to go to like dinners like 2 nights this past week with work. And I just felt like I was so out of my element the entire time. But it wasn't that bad.
No social lubricant?
No, none. Unfortunately.
Sorry, I got really put off by Steph saying social lubricant. I faked it. Sorry. I faked it this week. Last week was my birthday. The Sunday, the 20. I should probably say because this is not coming out probably at the time of making it. So the 28th of April was my birthday. And I didn't have a very good birthday weekend. It was kind of shitty. So I had to fake it on the Sunday because I woke up with a migraine and I had to still like shop and have family come around, like do the food shop with my granny and then have my family come around and have cake and stuff and open presents. And I mean, I'm like, oh, I had to open presents and stuff. Like it was really nice, but I had to just like fake that like everything was okay. And like, I'm like, yeah, this is great. Like internally, I'm like, and then just I don't know, this week I've just been like at home like studying and writing my report and just trying to get that focus out of myself, and I really have managed to do that, which has been nice. Like I've been using that Spirit City Lo-Fi Sessions game. fucking love that. This is so much fun. And because you get like rewarded with like monies to buy little like things for your avatar, or like your little like spirits, which I like. I managed to collect all of them and I love it so much. And then you hit different levels and stuff. So that has really been helping with my like focus as well, and I've managed to write nearly the whole report apart from like one thing that I've been procrastinating today. I won't lie to you. And so I think like, I don't know if it counts as faking it, but like I've managed to kind of pull myself into that focus, which is kind of nice this week.
Nice. Awesome. I don't know if I did any faking it this week. I was trying to think and I couldn't recall. This week was pretty like run of the mill for me. Nothing really out of the ordinary happened. Although I am on like day 45 of my cycle with no period yet, so that's been fun. Definitely not pregnant, but I'm just like, wow.
That's still not fun.
When is this? This is cool.
You saw the thought go like right here.
Yes. Yes, I'm definitely not, but I'm just like, oh. So I don't know if that counts as faking it, but that's something where I'm like, what's going on?
Stress? Diet?
No, I have no
Changing?
idea. Literally so weird. So it's like my longest one yet. We'll find out.
Are you thinking too much about it? Because I
No,
feel
not
like
at all.
sometimes if I just
The
think too
other
much about it.
day, I was like, wow, I should look at like my app. And I was like, holy shit. Because I just hadn't like thought about it. And I was like, that's a long time. So,
Maybe
but I feel
another
fine.
pregnancy test. I'd buy like a 10-pack every 2 weeks till that bitch shows up.
I don't panic too much, but yeah, we'll see what happens. Maybe next time we record, I'll have an update.
I am in this state. This state, I'm worried about it. We're close to California.
So anyways, we are talking about happiness today. And I did some research because I wanted to know like what is happiness? Like what does like the world say happiness is? So I found this article that's 11 happiness statistics stats about happy people, and it's from scienceofpeople.com. And they said happiness is a harmonious state of being. According to the Journal of Happiness Studies, happiness tends to exist under 4 conditions: feeling content or satisfied, being an agent of one's happiness, emphasizing inner enrichment over material satisfaction, and maintaining a positive outlook on the future. Which I thought that was interesting because I would have thought it was just one thing that they would have said was happiness, but that's 4. And those are all kind of different.
I dig.
What do you guys like? What does happiness mean to you guys?
I mean, I don't know. Like, I'm working on it in therapy. There's a long story behind it. I'm not going to get into it, but I've always kind of strived, at least the last decade or so. Like, I don't really go for like good days. I go for baseline days. And happiness is something that's kind of in that same boat. It's a fleeting feeling, but contentment should be the baseline goal, I guess.
That's how I look at it. It like happiness to me, I focus a lot on like contentness and like just like being okay with the status quo. And I also have a very positive outlook on the future though, so that definitely helps. I feel like I do all of these. But yeah, I really try to emphasize that it's more just like I'm content in the moment, and gratitude helps me a ton. Like even just pausing if I'm like sitting outside and being like, oh my gosh, like the sky's so pretty and I can hear the birds and like the sun feels so good. Like I think little things like that definitely help. Just kind of like mindfulness, I guess.
Yeah, being present, something that I'm working on for sure. I get
I
down
think,
the rabbit holes, think about the future.
yeah. I think for me, happiness is definitely more about the contentness or being satisfied, I guess. But also, it's kind of like as long as there's not like a prolonged amount of time where I'm like feeling a negative emotion. And by prolonged, it would be like most of my day. Like it would have to be a long amount of time for me to say I'm not happy.
I think it's hard. Like my initial thought is like, oh, happiness is not being sad, but then like for me, that's just kind of like being neutral. I think I spend a lot of my life feeling neutral, rather than one or the other. And then when I do feel the happiness or sadness, it's just like a big feeling for me. But I think happiness is just like, I don't know, for me it's like when you're doing something and you're not checking the time, you're not checking your phone, you're not checking, like, you're just in the moment, you're just enjoying yourself. And for me that is when I'm happiest, I think. Spending time with my friends always is a happy moment for me, like just having an event, having a girl chat, eating some food, it's always like a happy time for me, I think. I do try and, like, with the happy days, like find small things that make me happy, like cuddling my cat or like the sky being really pretty and stuff, as well. So like it doesn't have to be those big things. It can be small things as well. It's just whatever I like.
I almost wonder if your feeling of neutrality is like my feeling of contentness. Because content really isn't like this huge thing. It's just like almost like you're just like, it's nice. It's not like crazy amazing and cool. It's not really sad. It's just like a slight smile. Like, it's just like,
Yeah. I think
I
it's
think
like I'm not sad, I'm not happy. I'm just kind of like neutral. I'm just living my life. So yeah, maybe content is the word I should be using for that.
I think happiness or neutrality, it or where was I going with that? No, I think that it depends on how you look at neutrality.
mhm,
Because
like
like I look at neutrality as like a good thing.
like a
So I
slightly
would say that
positive.
I am like more happy in those moments than like any other feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like your
I
neutral state.
definitely, yeah, I definitely would say neutral doesn't have any kind of sadness in it whatsoever.
Yeah.
So yeah, it would probably be, like you say, more of content.
It's interesting too. We all mentioned like being present, like being
Yeah.
super mindful of like the current moment brings happiness, which makes sense because what's that quote that's like, uh, oh, it's the one from the past is like, don't think about the past and don't think about the future. Like, all we have is right now. So it's like if your brain is either like thinking about the past, you're like worrying. If you're thinking about the future, you might be worrying. And if you're like
Yes.
more present, then it's easier to like just be content with the current moment.
There's
I
another
swear
one
half
that
these
says it's called the present because it's a present to you
Yes,
as
that's what I
well.
was thinking because it's a gift. It's the quote from Kung Fu Panda.
Love,
It
love it.
literally is. I wish I'll try and
Yeah.
find it. Keep talking. I'll let you know if I do find it.
Oh, I got you. Yesterday's history, tomorrow is a mystery, but today is a gift. That's why it's called the present.
Yes. Yeah. Which basically is like, yeah, focus on what's right in front of you.
Yeah.
We
That's
basically got the quote, like,
Yeah, we got
Oh,
there.
yeah.
We had the same, yeah, totally. We got
yeah.
it.
No, that's my
We were
problem. I have far too much focus on the future, and it just stresses me out in the present because I'm trying to account for and mitigate anything that can go wrong in the future. That's not, you don't know what's going to happen. So focus on today, you psycho.
I don't know if this helps, but how I handle that is that I don't think about the how. So I think about the what and the why when it comes to the future. So, like, what I want, my desires, what I want it to look like. And I think about the why I want those, but I don't at all focus on the how because I remind myself I do not yet know how. And trying to think of how is just going to stress me out because I'm going to try to think of all these ideas and none of them are going to feel right because I don't know yet.
Yes, that is all I focus on is the
Is the
how,
how. Yeah.
because it's great that I know why and what, but now I need to figure out how to get there. And see, I feel like I get a little bit complacent and then I forget about the why and the what. And then it just nothing gets done and then it needs to happen. I'm like, fuck, I didn't do it. And then I'm even more stressed out. We're working on it. I pay a professional for this.
What are some things you guys do to bring happiness into your life that are like maybe like actual tangible things?
I try to have at least one day a week where I have absolutely no obligations. So it doesn't matter if I read or draw or work. I'm not expected or obligated to do any of it. So if I decide I don't want to do it, I can chase that serotonin and go do something else.
I love that.
I don't know. I feel like it's happiness, but it's actually a way I'm trying to like de-stress myself at the moment and like take some time to rest. But I feel like that also works as happiness. With I have like 2 evenings. So Tuesday evening I have a movie night in my Discord, and I try and make it so that I don't work during that time. I just watch the film and craft or draw or whatever I want to do, maybe even play Disney Dreamlight Valley or whatever. And then Thursdays are my no PC evenings where I don't sit in this chair at my desk because I spend my whole life in this chair at my desk. I sit on my sofa, which never gets used, and I watch my TV, and I watch a film, and then I draw or I play a game, Pokemon normally, and I try and do those things because it's rest, and rest at the moment is what's making me happy, I think.
I think I subconsciously do things to improve my happiness. Like I spend a lot of, or I guess the lack of time I usually I just listen to how I'm feeling in the moment a lot of times. And if I'm not feeling something, I don't usually like try to force myself to do it. And I spend a lot of time like resting and doing things that I actually enjoy. So like gaming, listening to music, stuff like that. And I don't put much thought into it. It's just something I do subconsciously.
I love that too. I feel like for me, the biggest one is gratitude. It's like I have a non negotiable to do my gratitude journal every day, which I have to write 3 things I'm grateful for and also 3 things that would make today great. And I find that the 3 things that make today great is almost more powerful than the gratitude because whatever I end up writing there, I end up doing. And then my days are all like, oh, I had a great day when I look at it at night because it makes you also write it in the evening. So it'll be like 3 things that'll make today great. And I'll be like, ooh, spend some time outside, have a good conversation with somebody, and enjoy a yummy meal. And it's like, boom, boom, boom. Those are 3. I'm going to do those things. And then I'm like looking at the end of the day and I'm like, oh, like I did all of those. And that it's like such a silly little thing. But I feel like just setting the intention to like, this is what will make a good day for me and making it something that's attainable, achievable, and simple. And then you do it is like, oh, today was a good day.
I
Did
like
you
that.
find that it was hard for you when you first started it to know what would make a day great for you?
I was really depressed and burnt out when I started that journal. So I just tried to think of the smallest things that would bring me joy. And sometimes it was like getting a coffee. Like literally sitting outside is like something I write in there like so often because I really just love to sit outside. So I tried to think of things that were very like low energy and that just like would make me feel good and put those in there. And it helped a lot. Yeah. I guess did I answer your question? I don't know if it wasn't
No,
hard
I
because I
feel
just
like you
thought
did.
small. Okay. I
Yeah, I
just
feel
like
like you
thought
did.
about the smallest little things I could possibly like what's gonna bring me joy right now? Like, oh, snuggle my pet and get a yummy treat. Maybe I'll get ice cream after dinner or something, like things that were easy for me to do in that moment that would bring me some joy.
That's a nice way to look at it, I think, as well. Because I would say sometimes I'm like, I don't know, like nothing is gonna make my day great, and that's like not a good mindset to have. So I think thinking small, like, ugh, I don't know, like I'll hug my cat, and then like I do hug
Mhm.
my cat, and then I feel really happy and
Yeah,
great, and then
see?
I'm like, oh, actually, yeah. So yeah, I think the way that you answered it was actually really helpful.
Even
Oh.
sometimes just like my outfit, like I'd be wearing something that I really loved, or like, I don't know, I wash my sheets and I get into bed and my sheets are clean. Like there's small things that can bring you a lot of like just comfort and niceness, I guess.
I love that. I've been hit with really horrible decision paralysis when I have like my scheduled relaxation time and I'm
I deal
trying
with
really
that
hard not to be a
too.
workaholic. So like
Yes.
Dana, we were
You're like,
talking
what do
about
I
it with
do?
like, yeah, activities. And I have been, and it's so silly. I got this for my birthday. It's all of the dice on a spinner. And
Oh,
it's got
that's
a
cool.
dragon on it. So it's like really fucking cool. Everything now gets assigned to a
A
dice.
number.
Everything. So like even I feel like shit right now. I battle with this every Friday and most of my Saturday mornings. Like I have time off, but I didn't really plan it, or I planned work and I don't want to do it, or it's like I want to play a game, but I really don't because I could be doing something more productive to relax. Jesus, that's a horrible thing. Don't make the decision. Put everything on this. So if you're feeling like shit, have a list in Notion or whatever you log your stuff in of stuff that has made you happy when you are feeling really great about things, and then take the decision out of your own hands.
I have something similar in Canva. I did TV movies that I like to watch and numbered them, and then also just what they called low dopamine activities.
Oh, yeah.
And then so like I'll just say to Google like pick a number between 1 and 22. And then I'm like, no, I don't want to watch that. So I'm like, pick another number. And I'm like, oh yeah, okay, I want to watch that. So that's been kind of helpful actually, like with my decision paralysis for watching stuff. Because movies really make me happy. I don't know what it is. I could watch
I'm the
like
same way.
5 episodes of a TV show and I'll be like, yeah, that's normal. But like if I want to watch a film, it's like this
Yeah.
big thing. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna watch a
Uh-huh.
film. What am I gonna watch? And then I don't watch a film because I'm like scrolling TikTok instead because it's too hard to choose. So with the numbers, I get to pick a film and I'm like, I'm watching a film.
Oh,
I do have
see,
the
it's
same
like
thing, that movies make me so happy.
I love
making the
movies.
decision is the important thing, because I have done so many nights where I have spent, I am not shitting you,
Oh, yeah, just scrolling.
45 minutes looking for something to watch. I started maybe a half a dozen shows and movies, hated all of them in the beginning. I couldn't figure out what to draw. I didn't want to do anything else. I tried to go play a game of Noida, shut down my computer, and then it was too much work to get it back on. And then I just sit there grumpy,
Yeah.
Yeah,
mad at
it
everything.
sucks. It sucks so much.
Yeah, it definitely does. I feel like we kind of, some people already mentioned this, but like kind of going along with like things you do to make you happy. Do you have like any rules or routines or life mottos? Which I feel like, Dana, you kind of explained one. Like, both of you have like your little spinny number thing to choose that helps you. But do you have any other things that's like some type of system, I guess, that you use to facilitate happiness?
I have the
I'm
happy
learning.
days.
Ooh, oh my God, are you still doing happy days?
Yeah, I've been doing it since 2022. I've got 2 completed jars, and I'm at the moment currently doing, obviously, year 2024. I think people sometimes get a bit intimidated because I'm like the only one posting in my Discord for it, but anyone can join at any time, and you don't have to do the 365 days like I do. I just really think it's a positive thing for myself to do. But yeah, I do every Friday. I think about my week and I look through, because I take a lot of photos. I look through my photos and I pick out what made me happy that day, and then a lot of the time it triggers more things in me that I'm like, oh my god, yes, this and that and stuff. So yeah, every Friday I write down all the things that made me happy in the week.
Nice. I love that. I think
I-
that's helpful.
I absolutely love that. Gratitude for sure. I mean, would probably be mine. I'm pretty consistent with it. If I do my morning pages, I'll do my gratitude. I haven't figured out how to do a reflection time though, which I think would be really helpful. Like what you do, Braylon, you end up writing
Once a
down
month
stuff that,
or twice a month, technically.
well, no, like every night you go
every 2
through
weeks.
your
Oh, yeah.
gratitude journal,
Mhm.
and then it's stuff that you ended up doing. I just haven't figured that out yet, how to do it every day consistently. Something I'm not taking it seriously enough, I guess. But
That's what happens to me. I like my gratitude journal is so easy for me to just be like, no. But then I literally am like, no, you have to make this a priority. It's so important. You have to just do it. It's literally like not going to take you that long. Like, but for me, I have to have the actual physical book on my nightstand so that before I even
fair.
get out of bed, I like swing my legs over and do that. And then when I get into bed, I do it first thing because otherwise it's like out of sight, out of mind. I don't know. I can't have it in Notion. It has to be like physically right there.
Maybe that's my issue. Is mine's in Notion.
You could get, set an alarm to do it on your phone in bed.
I tried. I wake Vern up.
Oh, but the alarm.
He has like the sixth sense if I like have my phone and I'm tapping or like whatever doing anything and it could be
Probably can
completely on
hear
silent.
you.
He knows that I'm on my phone. I'll even pull the covers over me and he's like, Stephanie. And I was like, I'm sorry, I'm getting up.
That's funny. Anyone else? Do you guys have like systems or life mottos or anything?
I feel like I hate to say that I don't have any systems, but I don't really have any systems. I think that I have a very optimistic outlook on life and I try to find the silver lining in basically everything. So, yeah, I think that's where I kind of land in this.
I
You
don't
and
know
I are
why you just said that you hate to say that because that's such a good thing.
I
It's a good
guess.
thing, but at the same time, it's like, how is that helpful for anyone else? It's not. It's just
Well,
like,
hey,
it's
that's
helpful
okay.
for me, I guess.
Well,
I'm
yeah,
ex-
that's good too.
I'm exactly the same in that way. That like literally that's like what I wrote. Like and sometimes my mom will get mad at me because she's like, "Are you serious? Like you're telling me something terrible and horrendous and awful could happen to you and you're still going to look for the silver lining?" And I'm going to be like, "Yeah." Like
I
no
mean,
matter what it is, I'm going to try to look at the good in this situation because there's always a little tiny little speck of goodness, okay? And if it's the whole TV is good and you have one pixel that's out, I'm going to see that pixel and I'm going to be that's my little thing. And I attribute this, Blaze, to having a parent that was just like that. Do you think
I
that was
think,
the case for you?
yeah, my parents both are the type of people that look at the silver lining. But
Yeah.
like, for example, when I got in the wreck in like last year,
Mhm.
I was just like, well, no one got hurt. So,
Mhm. Yeah.
like, it's a shitty situation, but no one got hurt.
Yeah.
It's fine.
And do you know what I've always found? Like, if you're in a situation like that, do you know what's not fun for you or anybody else? Being shitty.
Yeah,
Like, if you would have
exactly.
gotten that wreck and just been like, oh, this is the worst. Like, you know what I mean? Like, who is that helping? It's helping not a single person that
Yeah,
you're with,
no
and
one.
it's not fun for you either. So it's like, why? Yeah. I try to always do
No,
the same too.
you're right. I try to give myself space to be pissed off about a thing.
Yeah, go walk away and go shout and,
And it's,
get your anger out, but then
yeah,
come
like
back regrouped.
try to feel your feelings. I've been reading or listening to this book, How to ADHD. There's a whole chapter on emotions. And it's like, as an ADHD person, I feel them, I guess, more intensely. And it's like, I've always wondered why I have outbursts. Anyway, veering, but like, feel the feeling. And it's like, you guys, like, there's something positive. I lost what I was going to say. It's not that I think of it as positive, but it's a lesson. There's always a lesson.
Yep.
Yes. In a less than ideal situation, that's my whole thing. What is this teaching me? Instead of like playing victim card, which obviously does not apply to like abuse and trauma and stuff like that. But bad situations where like maybe I wanted something and I didn't get it, or like I really thought I was going to get this job and it didn't happen or something. I'm always like, what is the lesson here? Because there is a lesson. And that makes a bad experience something you gain from. You're
Is it? I
gaining.
mean, I can't always be positive about it. There's not always something positive to garner from a situation for me. There's not always a silver lining, but
But
there's damn sure
learning,
always a lesson.
yeah, and that's
Maybe
huge, I
the
think.
lesson is the silver lining. I mean,
It must be because nothing positive came out of that particular fucking
yeah.
situation, but Jesus Christ, did I learn something?
I think
Yeah.
this whole thing reminds me of, you guys know I watch Bluey a lot, so in the 28-minute episode The Sign, Bluey tells everyone that she's going to have to move house, and the Calypso, their teacher, tells this story, and it's like a real story. I'm pretty sure someone told me that like it is actually like a story.
It's a
outside of
proverb.
this.
Yeah.
And it's like this man has this horse and the horse runs away, and his neighbors are like, well, that's a really bad thing that's just happened, and he says, we'll see. And then the horse comes back with 2 wild horses, and they say, well, that's a really good thing that just happened, and he says, we'll see. And then his son rides one of the wild horses and falls off and breaks his leg, and the neighbors say, well, that's a really bad thing. And he says, we'll see. And then like the people come to take the sons for war, like to draft them for the war, and they don't take his son because he's broken his leg. And the neighbors are like, well, that's a really good thing. And he says, we'll see. And it's just kind of, I'm trying to really incorporate that in my life because I really don't see the silver lining and everything. And like I had like a really shitty situation that happened at the weekend, and I couldn't go do the thing I wanted to do. And then on the Sunday, my cousin messaged me and was like, hey, I really want to go to the place I wanted to go on Saturday. Do you want to come with me? And we went on Thursday, and it was really fun, and it was less busy because it was a weekday, and everything was great. And I was like, hey,
We'll see.
I guess we'll see.
I love that. It's like what
so I
Braylon
really like
says.
that.
It's what do you say all the time? It's things are always working out for me.
Yeah, everything is always working out for me. Not in the sense that you're going to get everything you want and it's going to go the way that you think, but the things that happen are going to, in the end, even if you can't always see them, work out for you.
It's
it's similar. It's totally is like the
Yeah.
we'll see, because he's like, it's just like not, I mean, it's a little bit different. The we'll see guy's just not putting like giving power to anything, you know? And it's like kind of like, instead of just letting this ruin my day, we'll see. Like, and I really
Everything
love
works
that.
out.
See what
Just not
happens.
exactly in the way that you might have thought. It's like when you wish the universe for something and it gives you all the pieces to it, but you're like, what the fuck? I wanted a finished piece. Like, no, you got to put it together. The universe will provide everything you need.
That's like when I applied to my now job the first
Yeah.
time. Didn't get it. And
Yeah.
I was like, okay.
You could've got
reapplied. And I
so
got it.
discouraged and like been
I
like,
could
screw
have.
this, I'm getting
Yeah.
a new job, like this wasn't meant for me, like they don't see the value. You could have gone on a terrible path like so
Mhm.
fast, but instead you were like, no, this,
And now I'm like
you
more
know,
happy than like
see.
I've been
we'll see.
since I
I
started
love
my
that.
job. So
Dana, do you find the we'll see is like easier for you as somebody who doesn't tend to like have the glass half full perspective to like, because I feel like I know a lot of like really pessimistic people in my life, and I feel like it's really hard to go like to swing from one side to the other, but I feel like the we'll see is kind of like in the middle. You're not really
Yeah.
claiming either. It's kind of just giving you time to see how the situation unfolds.
I think for me, like, because I've been working really hard to get out of my pessimistic one, and I would say I'm kind of getting there.
I'd
I
say.
think for me, thank you. I would say for me, it's kind of nice. It's just because I spiral sometimes when bad things happen, and it's nice that it says kind of like take a step back, just we'll see what happens. Like, don't just immediately go into like the future scenarios that are all going to go wrong, and this is going to happen, and that's going to happen. Just we'll see what happens. You know, we'll just see what happens.
Present.
And I find for me that's really helpful. Like I really am trying to incorporate that a bit more, because I do spiral and I do take when bad things happen. Sometimes I am very much just like everything's
This is the
ruined,
end.
nothing
It's
else will happen
over.
again.
Yeah.
And I spiral and catastrophize, and it's not healthy. And I think it's easier to say, okay, well, let's see, like, we'll see what happens, like, rather than what was the good thing in that
Yeah.
happened? Like, try and
That's
find
what
the
I was
good thing in
wondering.
that. Because for me, I think I would just shut down and be like, there's nothing good. Like,
Yeah.
look at this. Look at the whole situation. Nothing in here is good. Whereas taking that step back can then allow for you to be like, actually, that was actually a good thing that happened, because then this happened.
Mhm.
But you need to have that kind of space to be in that situation where you can feel that, I think.
It's almost like we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. It's
Yeah,
like
I think
you're
that as
trying
well.
to say like, how do I cross the bridge, the gap, but you're not there yet. So you don't know. So then you come up with all these ideas, and it's like, well, you're kind of just ruminating for nothing, because you don't know what the outcome is going to be yet.
Yeah.
Rumination
And
as a
then you're
form
just
of
making yourself feel
self-harm.
better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Fully.
yeah. Okay, so I wanted to read something else that I thought was interesting, was that this is from the same site that I listed in the beginning. They said for a long time, happiness was centered on circumstances outside of one's control, such as fortune and good luck. During the rise of Western American society, the definition of happiness has shifted towards something that can be controlled and actively pursued. So I just wanted to know your guys' thoughts on that. Do you feel like it's like a combination of all of those? Is it fortune and good luck and also your mindset, or is it just in your control?
I mean, definitely external circumstances can impact. I mean, looking at the state of the world around us, it seems a little bit insane that anyone can be happy living in some of these parts of the world. So, I mean, both, but what I'm learning is especially like the Four Agreements is a book I've had sitting on my shelf now for the better part of 2 years, and I open it probably at least a couple times a month. It's you. It's your mentality. It's how you perceive the world. It's how you go about. It's mind frame. It's who you surround yourself with, who you choose to surround yourself with, the boundaries you set with yourself and other people and your environment. There's a lot that goes into it, but first and foremost, focusing on what you can control. You're probably going to be a much happier person.
I think definitely it has to be both, because like if you have someone with a very negative mindset, then you can have all the good luck and all the nice things and fortune, and they're not going to see it. They're not going to realize, they're not going to notice. They're just going to go through and go like, oh, these things are so bad, like this is wrong, like nothing ever works out for me, and they miss all the times things are working out for them. So I think, yeah, a lot of the time it does have to be your mindset, and like it's you control your own happiness, especially if you don't let outside factors affect you as much. But then, of course, there are outside things that can that can have happiness. You know, like someone randomly showing up to your house and like having a nice chat with you and stuff, that can be really happy for someone, you know, like, or you go out for a walk and you see your friend, or like you see a stray cat and you get to stroke them. The other day I walked past, there was a stray cat. It was meowing at me. I was meowing back. We had a whole meowing conversation. I had to stop, otherwise he would have been there all day. You know?
I love that so much.
And someone with a negative mindset would have just walked straight past, not even noticed the cat, not even noticed that happy moment that was going to happen. And I think it's got to be both, you know, but with
That's
a strong
such a good
bias
point.
towards yourself.
Maybe.
I think it's a little bit of everything. I think luck definitely plays into it, because some people are dealt very shitty hands. And it's hard. Like when you're constantly dealt a shitty hand, it's hard to be optimistic. But also, I think that the way for people like that to be happy is that comes from within.
It's like when you
Looking at like the bright side of things.
It's like when you go to those like or see like videos of like people living in like third world countries in like a tiny
Mhm.
village, and they're like crazy happy.
Yeah,
And like their
exactly.
house is made of dirt, and they sleep on like a wicker bed, and they're just like full of all of this happiness and joy. I think it's cuz like when you're dealt a shitty hand like that, it's like you find it's easier to find the happiness within. I don't know if you
I
guys
think
watched that Babies movie that came out like a decade ago about the four babies in different countries, and it was from their first breath to their first step was the movie. Really cool movie. But they show like the baby that's like living like in a tribe in Africa is like super happy and chilling, and then they show this baby like in America that's like in a room full of toys, and it's just like shrieking and like mad and not happy. And it's just like this paradigm of like you could have all the things in the world, and that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to feel good about it.
I really
yeah.
like there's a couple of interviews I've seen where this person's like their house is destroyed, like all their worldly possessions gone in like a hurricane or something, and then while they're having the interview, they like they're like, oh my god, is that your dog, like under the rubble?
Oh yeah,
And then
she
like
lost
pull
her
it out,
dog.
and then there was another one with a cat, and they were like, come here, pss, pss, and then the cat was like, and you can just see in their face, like it doesn't matter, like in that one moment, like that anything else, their dog is alive, and they are just so grateful in that moment. And it kind of reminds me of like when we have all those bad situations, and you guys are saying, I'm looking for that silver lining. For those people, that's the silver lining. That's their one good thing.
I think in
That's
situations like that, community is so important. And that typically is like what gets people out of feeling bad for themselves or thinking about all the shitty stuff around them. So I don't know.
yeah.
So there's a lot that goes into it.
There is. I wanted to talk about something else too, which I thought was really interesting. They talked about internet usage and happiness, um, which they did say that social media use leads to reduced day to day happiness. Researchers mentioned that happiness and friendship paradox is a critical factor for reduced happiness, which is basically when you see everything that everyone is doing online and think that like their life is cooler than yours, even though we forget that online is a highlight reel. So,
Yes.
I thought that was really interesting. And that they also said people who have frequent digital media use also report lower psychological well being than those who use it less, which made me really think about the young people today. Because, like, we grew
Yeah.
up, all of us, I'm pretty sure, like, most of us grew up a lot without technology as
Thank
heavily.
God.
Yeah, I was
Thank
saying until I was like
God.
13, and then it was real push on like phones. Like everyone had a phone, and then Facebook, and then phones touchscreen, and then they just became iPhones and all sorts. So I would say like for young childhood, yes, but like I would say when I got to a teenager, really technology was like everywhere, and everyone was posting on Snapchat and all sorts.
I think
Phones had
it's
really shitty cameras when I was going through high school.
oh
Oh my, I am so grateful that I missed
in
that. Oh
4K.
my God. I could not imagine going through school
Looking at
now with
yourself.
the high quality, high resolution video photo that exists. The audio recording, there's no fucking way. There's no fucking way. There's no way.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting because like even me as like a 31-year-old, like I still struggle with seeing people online and being like, damn, like wish I had that. And like that I'm a full ass adult. So I can't imagine being, 13, 14, 15 and seeing stuff and just like how because you don't have the tools equipped to like take a step back. Like it's hard for me.
I think it's hard as well because like you see like people and like on Twitter or like or social media, you'll see like, oh, that person's like comments on that person's post like a lot, like, and they're your friend but they don't comment on your posts and stuff. And then like I feel like especially when you're young, it's really hard because you feel like they're not your friend, or like they don't want to be your friend because they message that person more, but it might just be that what that person posted just resonates with them more than
Mhm.
your one. So they're like, oh, I have something to say about this, but they don't have something to say about your post, and they don't want to just post for the sake of like posting. And but it's really hard because then you have that thing where you compare. You're like, well, why is that person like always getting the likes or always getting the comments, and like why do they get everything and I don't get anything? My post just must be like shit, and like I'm everyone must hate me. And it's just really hard, especially when you have like at school. I remember having that, like, you're not popular, like all of a sudden you've had a fight with your friend, and that's like a whole thing that's happened in your lunchtime, and it's really hard
Dude,
being a kid.
I
friggin' preach. I don't get it. I don't actually understand what the appeal is for the posts that go viral. I don't get it. It's not funny to me.
I am so thankful that social media didn't really like it was there when I was in like middle school, but it didn't really like kick off like a bunch until like high school, I would say. And by that point, I was I don't know, I guess old enough that it didn't affect me quite as much. But like if I was going through school now in today's day and age, that would be so hard. I
No.
like if I have kids, they're not going to be on social media until like I don't
16
know
at
what
least,
age, but
I would
at
say.
least yeah, 15, 16, something like that because it's awful.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
pretty
I think
crazy.
it's hard. Although Facebook memories when they come up, like I barely ever go on Facebook, but I've recently been checking because people have been sending me happy birthday messages, and my memories came up and I had to like flick through and I was like, oh, delete, that's cringe.
Yeah.
There's so much like cringe. I'm like, oh my god, like who allowed this? Like who,
You
who
can turn those
allowed
off.
this?
You can turn off Facebook memories. You can also hide certain people from your Facebook memories.
Well, you don't
I
have to
just turn
post it. It shows
I
just
just
Oh
your
turn them
no,
off.
numbers,
I'm just deleting like the old
your old
posts. Yeah.
statuses.
Oh no,
Like
it'll
sometimes
stop
it'll be
showing for
like
you too.
it's like feeling sad. I'm just like, oh,
Oh my god, yeah, I remember
Oh, the
posting
cringe
stuff
shit I
like
used to
that.
post.
So cringe.
or like all
The
those
only
messages
cringe
that are like,
thing-
oh no, what's up? Message me or like DM me what's going on.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I'm just like,
The only cringe thing I
oh.
still do that I did as a teenager, which I really don't give a fuck, is I just post like song lyrics with like a little heart at the end. You don't need to know, okay? I'm not feeling anything. This is not like a passive aggressive. I'm not sending a subliminal message.
It's
I'm just
not a
listening to the
subtweet,
song and I
okay?
like the fucking lyrics. That's all it is.
Oh,
Listen
mine
to
just
my music
always
with
had a
me.
message. Mine
Everyone's
always
like, "Are
had a
you
message when I
okay?" And
did
I'm like,
that.
"I'm fine." Why? They're like, "Those song lyrics you post were really sad." I'm like, "Okay, it's a sad song, I guess. I don't know. I don't understand why you're asking me that."
You're like, just listen to the song, God.
I think it's so interesting because like social media use, like, yes, at the end of the day, does it really spread joy? Like sometimes for sure.
Sometimes,
I
yeah.
feel like it tends to err on no.
It's
But
all
like
ads.
Yeah.
all of us met because of online, and I would say that like the way that we do online outside of social media, like I don't consider Discord social media, is extremely helpful and like creates happiness and generates happiness for people. I would say it's like
Yeah.
a total other side of the coin.
It's a
Yeah.
double-edged sword too, I feel like, because like there'll be situations where like, okay, for example, I would very much like to do more engaging things in my Discord. I want to do more co-working or more crafting or more gaming or whatever it is. But there's still like that social pressure. And with the internet, at least for me, we don't actually know who these people are. I didn't learn a very prominent good friend, member of my community's name until like a year and a half that we had been talking on a damn near regular basis, like exchanging craft projects. And I don't ask though. Like that's not who I am. If you tell me your name is Blaze, Dana, and Braylon, that's your name. I referred to someone as a Pokemon name for 2 years before finding out they were a dude. I thought they were a woman. I was very wrong. I just don't ask.
Yeah. I think
The
it's
internet's
hard
just like, it's
because-
weird like that. And it's a very
Yeah.
small set of like the personality, right? Like Braylon and I and Blaze, we've all met in person. I don't know. I say Braylon's a little bit different in person than she is on the internet. Cause like it's a shorter time frame that you're like fully engaged. It's like you're more on.
I feel like you're exactly the same, if that helps at all.
I agree. Stuff is exactly the same.
I feel like when we meet Dana, she will be exactly the same too. Because that was my experience meeting
Yeah.
my maid of honor on my wedding weekend. We were just like, oh, you're just like who you are when we call. Like, there's
love
not
that.
like we kept telling people like, yeah, this is the first time we met in person. Nobody believed us because we were just like, oh, well, we've been friends for like 2 years. And like that, when you video talk with people, I think it's different. If you're not
Definitely.
videoing with people, it's like there's people on my server that are people I've been friends with for like years, and like I don't really know anything about them, what they look like, what their name is, like what their voice sounds like nothing.
That weirds
So-
me out. I'm sorry. That tweaks me the fuck out. It does. Like who are you people? And it's like honestly it's a little kind of alarming but also very expected. I'm the same because I don't have energy or capacity to be like a different person. Or
Same.
like I have an NPC version of myself, but that's for work. People have to pay for that version of me to be that on and in tune.
But
you don't know who you're talking to.
do you feel like our online communities, like, or just being in a community in general, is similar or the same or not the same to like if you were doing this in person with people?
Completely different in person. Completely different value and benefits from it.
I
It's more
think
draining though.
personally, like I feel like so I have more online friends now than I do have like in real life friends.
Same.
Mhm.
But when I was younger, I had more like in real life friends, and like online friends was like this whole big thing of like if you have an online friend, they're
You were
gonna kill
weird.
you. You're
Yeah,
gonna
you
die.
were weird if you had online friends.
Because
So I
it's some
really like
50-year-old guy in his mom's basement.
but we're not. We're but it's just interesting. I think like the bad part of social media is the comparing. I will always say the comparing and being able to easily access people at all times. I do feel like having a phone on you all the time and being able to like be messaged at any point in your day, and there's a sort of expectation to respond fairly soon because everyone knows you have your phone on you. I do think that
Yep.
aspect as well isn't good, but being able to, especially since COVID and like the pandemic and lockdown, having online friends, being able to video chat and things, I really do think that's a positive to social media. And with Discord in as well, I think I hang out with more people on Discord than I would in real life. If I was doing Discord in real life, I'd never meet up with anyone. Because
Same.
people suck at like actually having time and like giving you dates and like I can do this then and stuff. And also, let's be real, how often do you want to have to get ready to go out for an event? I could be in my pajama bottoms and just like chill and I'm happy.
That's the difference. Like, that's why I say there's more or like a different value to being in person than there is hanging out in a Discord call. And it's the lack of split focus. Because when we're hanging out in a Discord call, how often are we all doing the exact same thing together with no other events or activities happening? Almost always we all have our own music on. Almost always we all have a different media playing. We're on Twitch, we're playing games, I'm drawing, like everyone's always doing something a little bit different, even if we're all sitting in Discord watching a movie together. In
Maybe that's what
person,
makes it easier.
100%. And it's
Because
why
you
you
don't
prefer
have
it.
to, yeah,
But
you're
it's
allowed to like engage while you stay doing like your comfort stuff.
a
And
different
when you
human
leave,
connection though.
you're at home.
Yes. When you leave, you're at home.
Yes. You're home, you're in your PJs, you're comfy. It's a different human connection.
Yeah.
Also, I think there's more accessibility on Discord. Like, if I don't want to have my camera on, I don't have to have it on. If I don't want to have my mic on, I just want to type to you guys in the chat. I can do that. Like, and no one's going to be like, that's so weird. Why don't you have your cam on right now? Or like, why aren't you talking? Why are you only typing? Whereas I feel like you are more perceived in like real life in like events. If you're on your phone, it's like seen as this like massive thing. Like, you shouldn't be on your phone. Or like if you're like playing with a fidget or something, or like it's just there's so much more that people are going to judge you for than being in Discord. Also, I feel like a lot more of my online friends are neurodivergent as well, which I think helps.
I think that's a huge helper, just knowing other people with ADHD or autism, because I grew up my whole life not knowing anyone. So then I was like, I'm a weirdo.
I didn't
I've
think
heard-
about it, but my earliest childhood best friend, she's on the spectrum. My best friend for most of my life growing up outside of that first one, she is ADHD. Our other best friend who I went to college with, as well as the second one, she was ADHD and maybe slightly on the spectrum. So, like, I have constantly surrounded myself with neurodivergent people.
I wonder if I like was able to look at my younger friends, because like I don't keep in touch with them like now, if any of them or all of them would have ended up getting diagnosed with something, because I feel like that might be true, but just nobody knew. So like as a kid you didn't talk about it, because like I don't know, I didn't know anybody else who was diagnosed. It was not like
Especially women because
as
of
much of
the
a
like
Yeah.
the
I don't
diagnosis.
know. Can you point out a neurotypical person? I don't know if I could.
my sister has taken the
Sometimes.
RADS test and like ADHD test, and she literally scores 0. So Yeah,
Is
I
she
know at
happy?
least one. And my mom also scored a 0 on the RADS test.
I think for the rads, I would score very, very low.
Yeah.
Oh.
Did you say your mom? But
Hi.
your mom's such a powerhouse. I
Yeah, she scored
expected
a 0.
neurodivergency.
No, just a Leo. Just a straight up Leo.
Okay, I don't think I've ever taken the RADS test. Can I just do it on their website?
Yeah. I also wanted to mention like one last thing too, which I thought was interesting. The study also said that people that are happier tend to have higher salaries at work, which I thought
Oh.
was so interesting. And I wondered like what the correlation was. If it was, and they didn't say, obviously you can't know like if it's that happier people are better workers or that they get, I don't know. It's like
Well,
what
let's
came
break
first, the
this
chicken or
down.
the
Yeah,
egg?
I think
Yeah.
they're just better to be around.
If
Yeah.
you hate your job and you hate most other things, you're going to do a shit job. I'm just saying that. You're not going to do well.
Yeah.
But if you're at least somewhat happy, it might not even be from work. You're going to work a little bit harder.
I
So
kind of
I
agree.
agree
The
with that
reality
statement.
is that people that are easier to work with are more likely to get the job over someone that does the job better. And that is just human psychology. That is just the way that the world works. That makes a lot of sense though. If you're a happy person, you're probably a pretty cool person to be around in the workplace because you're not always complaining about shit. You're not always sucking at your job. You're not always trying to half-ass it on purpose or like stick it to the man or whatever anyone's fucking problem is that they don't want to do their goddamn job at work. Literally get fucking paid to do is to just do it. Anyway, that makes a lot of sense.
I kind of disagree though, because like for me, I haven't been happy at work either because of how much workload has been put on me because of how good I have been at my job.
I was gonna say,
We're the oddballs out though. Like
There's
Yeah,
always an
exactly.
we
There's
give a little
always
bit too much of a
exceptions.
fuck about our job. So
Yeah.
regardless if we're happy in it or not, we're getting that shit done and we're getting it done well.
But I
Mhm.
would say I'm quite high masking at work. So like when people come in, I'm like, morning, you know, and like even though I'm not
Oh.
really a morning person and I hate like if I was just normal, I'd be like, hi, you know, you're right. But because I'm heavily masking, I'm like, morning, hi, how are you? How are you doing? You know, because I am literally at the front door for work. I am basically a receptionist at this point as well as
NPC Dana.
everything else.
I think that's what makes the difference, though. The fact that even if you're not internally happy, you
You're
put
acting.
out the energy to other people that you are happy.
Yeah.
But I am not
Because
paid
let's
very
say
well.
one of my coworkers, is very hard to work with. And I constantly hear my new team talking about how hard this dude is to work with. And I didn't realize until I moved to this team, because he was on my old team, how hard he is to work with. And now I'm like, oh, I totally get why they've been complaining. I'm like, oh my God, it makes me look so much better because I was so much easier to work with than he was. Even though he probably is better at his job than I was, but I was easier to work with. So it comes off differently.
You're going to get more experience out of that. People are going to come to you more because you're easier to approach, you're easier to work with, and you still get your job
Exactly.
done really well. Yeah. No.
But I do think sometimes being good at your job and being happy just means you get more work rather than more pay. It really depends on the management.
Yeah, it
learning how to keep
depends.
my mouth
For
fucking
sure.
shut on that one. They don't need to know that you got the 3-hour thing done in 10 minutes. Put a couple mistakes in and send it on. Let them feel good about themselves. It's okay.
What were your all's biggest takeaways from this episode?
We lightly touched on it, but we didn't go into a lot of detail about the like genetics part of happiness. And I know Blaze and I talked about this before the podcast quite heavily. And I just found it interesting that like both you and Blaze say that you look for the good in things, the silver linings, and you both kind of said that your parents kind of influenced you growing up as well. And I find that really interesting because I had a very negative mindset, and my mum also has a very negative mindset and complains about everything. And I think is really interesting, not only like the way you grow up affects how you kind of perceive things, but also that it really does sit with you and your mindset whether you are happy or not. Like you have that power.
Yeah, that's probably my least favorite part of this episode because I have 12 tabs open because I don't know my mother at all very well to know her mindset, but I know my grandmother in her older age is now just both of my grandmothers on both sides are just miserable, bitter women, but considering the time that they grew up in and the lives that they had, I get it. Still really fucking miserable to talk to, but I get it. I'd like to learn more about that because, like, if you don't know, how can it be genetic? How do you know it's genetic? Like, I want to find a study on if they right consistency. It's like blind. I don't know how you would blind test that though. You know, how do you find a big enough segment of people that don't know their parents very well and are able to measure, right?
Yeah, because it's whether it's genetic, as in when you're in the womb, all that anxiety and stress that you experienced in the womb from your mother, did that affect you? Or was it when you were brought up by them and you were like experiencing it daily as you
Nurture
grew up
versus
and your mind
nature.
was being shaped?
Both.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
I
was
yeah,
think
which is
both.
it?
I mentioned that before the podcast actually because Dana and I were talking about it, but I think it comes down a lot to the nurture part of nature versus nurture.
The
Yeah.
But I kind of
reparenting shit
like
is
that.
hard, man. I got a full-time fucking job. I can't afford like I can't afford to have a kid and I gotta like raise myself again. Like I was
The thing I
complaining to my
like about it
therapist about
though,
that.
the thing I like about it though is the fact that like through meeting people and like through your own growth and stuff, like outside people can also be part of that nurture and that change. So while it was like probably quite heavily as you like grew up influence in your life, you can still change your mindset. You can still learn from people and take things from them that you've learned. So that's kind of nice that you're not stuck to have a negative mindset the rest of your life.
It's just
Neuroplasticity.
exhausting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's I wish I knew a timeline for that.
I think for me, my biggest takeaway was that I thought it was really interesting that all of us, when we were talking about what happiness means to us, mentioned some type of like being present in the moment, which is a takeaway for me that I'm gonna, I don't know, just think about more often and try to enact more small moments of present fullness, because I do a really good job when I'm like outside or like in the car. I practice mindfulness a lot, like look around how beautiful it's a time when you're by yourself, but I feel like I could definitely do a better job of just kind of acknowledging the moments throughout the day. So
Do you think it'd be helpful? So, like, I know your gratitude journal is physical because you do it when you wake up and when you go to bed, but like having a running gratitude page in Notion. So, like, as you take your moments to be present, writing it down, at least
that's
I like
smart. That would be
documenting it.
nice. I do it in Discord as well, and I always write different things in the Discord than I do in my journal, so I try to think of like double things. But that's a good idea
Oh,
to do it like throughout the day when I think of it. Little things. I might do that.
I've
I've
got up to
been
12 on my morning page throughout the day.
Nice.
I did it once. I forgot about it.
I've been really like this week learning that like my coping mechanisms are all about escaping and just like distraction and stuff. And so by learning that my happiness, or like one of the ways my happiness is by being present, I think also translates to having to be present and sitting with the bad feelings as well,
Yeah.
because you know it's important on both sides. So I think that's also another one that's not so much like a huge takeaway, but just like reinforcing something I'm already kind of learning myself. So
Yeah.
that was kind of nice.
Yeah.
A show.
Well, thank you everybody for tuning in. We truly appreciate your time spent with us today. Hop over to our Discord community to dive deeper into the topics we covered and connect with like-minded individuals. We also have episode chats, and we will be sharing the resources over there from today's episode as well.
See.
And don't forget to follow us on social media to stay updated on our latest content. And be sure to catch our next episode where we will be exploring news, or some people call it shades. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.